Welcome. We are reading the entire Bible, including the Apocrypha and parts of the Pseudipigrapha. Welcome. Today, we're reading 3rd Enoch. I'm Reverend Valerie Love, your hostess with the mostest, and the author of 26 books on practical spirituality. I lead retreats all over the world to Bali, Egypt, Thailand, Greece, Italy, Sedona, Dubai, on and on and on and on. I'm just all the places. We're going to Bali and Egypt this year. Oh, and it's all at valerielove.com. Let's get into this reading, shall we? Welcome. If you're brand new here, you are most welcome to join us every morning live at 7 a.m. Eastern Time if you desire to be with us live. Otherwise, you can always catch it 24/7 on YouTube. We're in the 3rd book of Enoch, chapter 11. God reveals all mysteries and secrets to Metatron. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the angel, the prince of the presence, said to me, henceforth the Holy One, blessed be he, revealed to me all the mysteries of Torah and all the secrets of wisdom and all the depths of the perfect law and all living beings' thoughts of heart and all the secrets of the universe and all the secrets of creation were revealed unto me, even as they are revealed unto the maker of creation. And I watched intently to behold the secrets of the depth and the wonderful mystery. Before a man did think in secret, I saw it. And before a man made a thing, I beheld it. And there was no thing on high nor in the deep hidden from me. Chapter 12. God clothes Metatron in a garment of glory, puts a royal crown on his head, and calls him the Lesser Yahweh. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the prince of the present, said to me, by reason of the love with which the Holy One, blessed be he, loved me more than all the children of heaven, he made me a garment of glory on which were fixed all kinds of lights, and he clad me in it. And he made me a robe of honor on which were fixed all kinds of beauty, splendor, brilliance, and majesty. And he made me a royal crown in which were fixed 49 costly stones like unto the light of the globe of the sun. For its splendor went forth in the 4 quarters of the Rabboth, Araboth, Raquia, and in through the 7 heavens, and in the 4 quarters of the world. And he put it on my head, and he called me the Lesser Yahweh in the presence of all his heavenly household, as it is written in Exodus 23:21. For my name is in him. Chapter 13. God writes with a flaming style on Metatron's crown the cosmic letters which heaven and earth, by which heaven and earth were created. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the angel, the prince of the presence, the glory of all, said to me, because of the great love and mercy with which the Holy One, blessed be he, loved and cherished me more than all the children of heaven, he wrote with his ringer, with a flaming style, upon the crown on my head, the letters by which were created heaven and earth, the seas and rivers, the mountains and hills, the planets and constellations, the lightnings, winds, earthquakes, and voices, thunders, the snow and hail, the storm wind and the tempest, the letters by which were created all the needs of the world and all the orders of creation. And every single letter sent forth time after time, as it were lightnings, time after time, as it were torches, time after time, as it were flames of fire, time after time, rays, like as the rising of the sun and the moon and the planets. Chapter 14. All the highest princes, the elementary angels, and the planetary and sidereal angels fear and tremble at the sight of Metatron crowned. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the angel, the prince of the present, said to me, when the Holy One, blessed be he, put this crown on my head, then trembled before me all the princes of kingdoms who are in the height of Araboth Raquiath, and all the hosts of every heaven, and even the princes of the Elim, the princes of the Eralim, and the princes of the Taphsarim, who are greater than all the ministering angels who minister before the throne of glory, shook, feared, and trembled before me when they beheld me. Even Samael, the prince of the accusers, who is greater than all the princes of kingdoms on high, feared and trembled before me. And even the angel of fire, and the angel of hail, and the angel of the wind, and the angel of the lightning, and the angel of anger, and the angel of the thunder, and the angel of the snow, and the angel of the rain, and the angel of the day, and the angel of the night, and the angel of the sun, and the angel of the moon, and the angel of the planets, and the angel of the constellations, who rule the world under their hands, feared and trembled and were affrighted before me when they beheld me. These are the names of the rulers of the world. Gabriel, the angel of the fire. Baradiel, the angel of the hail. Rukiel, who is appointed over the wind. Barakiel, who is appointed over the lightnings. Zaamiel, who is appointed over the vehemence. Zikwiel, who is appointed over the sparks. Ziel, who is appointed over the commotion. Daphiel, who is appointed over the storm wind. Raamiel, who is appointed over the thunders. Riktashiel, who is appointed over the earthquake. Shalgiel, who is appointed over the snow. Madariel, who is appointed over the rain. Shimshiel, who is appointed over the day. Leeliel, who is appointed over the night. Galgaliel, who is appointed over the globe of the sun. Alphaniel, who is appointed over the globe of the moon. Kokbiel, who is appointed over the planets. Rahatiel, who is appointed over the constellations. And they all fell prostrate when they saw me, and they were not able to hold me because of the majestic glory and beauty of the appearance of the shining light of the crown of glory upon my head. Chapter 15. Metatron transformed into fire. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the angel, the prince of the presence, the glory of all heavens, said to me, as soon as the Holy One, blessed be he, took me in his service to attend the throne of glory and the wheels, Galgalim, of the Merkabah and the needs of Shekinah, forthwith my flesh was changed into flames, my sinews into flaming fire, my bones into coals of burning juniper, the light of my eyelids into splendor of lightnings, my eyeballs into firebrands, the hair of my head into duck flames, all my limbs into wings of burning fire, and the whole of my body into glowing fire. And on my right were divisions 6 of fiery flames, and on my left firebrands were burning. Round about me storm wind and tempest were blowing, and in front of me and behind me was roaring of thunder with earthquake. Fragment of Ascension of Moses. Rabbi Ishmael said to me Metatron, the prince of the presence, and the prince over all the princes, and he stands before him who is greater than all the Elohim. And he goes in under the throne of glory, and he has a great tabernacle of light on high. And he brings forth the fire of deafness and puts it into the ears of the holy Chayoth, that they may not hear the voice of the word Dibber that goes forth from the mouth of the divine majesty. And when Moses ascended on high, he fasted 120 days till the habitations of the Chasmael were open to him. And he saw the heart within the heart of the lion. And he saw the innumerable companies of the hosts around about him, and they desired to burn him. But Moses prayed for mercy, first for Israel, and after that for himself. And he who sitteth on the Merkabah opened the windows that are above the heads of the cherubim, and a host of 1,800 advocates, and the prince of the presence, Metatron, with them, went forth to meet Moses. And they took the prayers of Israel and put them as a crown on the head of the Holy One. Blessed be he. And they said, Deuteronomy 6:4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And their face shone and rejoiced over Shekinah. And they said to Metatron, What are these? And to whom do they give all this honor and glory? And they answered, To the glorious Lord of Israel. And they spake, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. To him shall be given abundance of honor and majesty, but to thee, Yahweh, the divine majesty, the King, living and eternal. In that moment spoke Akatriel, Yahwehod, Sebaoth, and said to Metatron, the prince of the presence, Let no prayer that he prayeth before me return to him void. Hear thou his prayer, and fulfill his desire, whether it be great or small. Forthwith, Metatron, the prince of the presence, said to Moses, Son of Amram, fear not, for now God delights in thee. And ask thou you thy desire of the glory and majesty, for thy face shines from one end of the world to the other. But Moses answered him, I fear lest I bring guiltness upon myself. Metatron said to him, Receive the letters of the oath, and by which there is no breaking the covenant, which precludes any breach of the covenant. Chapter 17. Probably additional. Metatron divested of his privilege of presiding on a throne of his own on account of Acher's misapprehension in taking him for a second divine power. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the angel, the prince of the presence, the glory of all heaven, said to me. At first, I was sitting upon a great throne at the door of the seventh hall, and I was judging the children of heaven, the household on high by authority of the Holy One, blessed be he. And I divided greatness, kingship, dignity, rulership, honor and praise, and diadem and crown of glory unto all the princes of kingdoms while I was presiding, sitting in the celestial court, Yeshua, and the princes of kingdoms were standing before me, on my right and on my left, by authority of the Holy One, blessed be he. But when Acher came to behold the vision of the Merkabah, and fixed his eyes on me, he feared and trembled before me, and his soul was affrighted, even unto departing from him because of fear, horror, and dread of me, when he beheld me sitting upon a throne like a king, with all the ministering angels standing by me as my servants, and all the princes of kingdoms adorned with crowns surrounding me. In that moment, he opened his mouth and said, "Indeed, there are two divine powers in heaven." Forthwith, Bath Kol, the divine voice, went forth from heaven from before the Shekinah and said, "Return, you backsliding children." Jeremiah 3:22. Except Acher. Then came Aniel, the prince, the honored, glorified, beloved, wonderful, revered, and fearful one, in commission from the Holy One, blessed be he, and gave me 60 strokes with lashes of fire and made me stand on my feet. Chapter 17. Let's check the numbers here. 15. This one is actually 16, not 17. This is 16. 17. The princes of the seven heavens of the sun, moon, planets, and constellations, and their suites of angels. Rabbi Ishmael said, Metatron, the angel, the prince of the presence, the glory of all heavens, said to me, 7 are the princes, the great, beautiful, revered, wonderful, and honored ones who are appointed over the 7 heavens. And these are they: Michael, Gabriel, Shatquiel, Shakaquiel, Bacariel, Badariel, Pakriel, and every one of them is the prince of the host of one heaven. And each one of them is accompanied by 496,000 myriads of ministering angels. Michael, the great prince, is appointed over the 7th heaven, the highest one, which is in the Araboth. Gabriel, the prince of the host, is appointed over the 6th heaven, which is Macon. Shataquiel, prince of the host, is appointed over the 5th heaven, which is in Maon. Shahaquiel, prince of the host, is appointed over the 4th heaven, which is in Zebul. Badariel, prince of the host, is appointed over the 3rd heaven, which is Shehaquim. Barakiel, prince of the host, is appointed over the 2nd heaven, which is in the height of Mirom, Raquiel. Pazriel, prince of the host, is appointed over the 1st heaven, which is in Wylon, which is in Shemayim. Under them is Galgaliel, the prince who is appointed over the globe, Galgal of the sun, and with him are 96 great and honored angels who move the sun in Raquia. Under them is Ophaniel, the prince who is set over the globe, Ophiri of the moon, and with him are 88 angels who move the globe of the moon, 354,000 parasangs every night at the time when the moon stands in the east at its turning point. And when is the moon sitting in the east at its turning point? Answer: in the 15th day of every month. Under them is Rahatiel, the prince who is appointed over the constellations. And he is accompanied by 72 great and honored angels. And why is it he is called Rahatiel? Because he makes the stars run, Marhit, in their orbits and courses. 339,000 parasangs every night from the east to the west, and from the west to the east. For the Holy One, blessed be he, has made a tent for all of them, for the sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars, in which they travel at night from the east to the west. Under them is Kokbiel, the prince who is appointed over all the planets, and with him are 365,000 myriads of ministering angels, great and honored ones, who move the planets from city to city and from province to province in the Raquia of heaven. And over them are 72 princes of kingdoms on high, corresponding to the 72 tongues of the world. And all of them are crowned with royal crowns, and clad in royal garments, and wrapped in royal cloaks. And all of them are riding on royal horses, and they are holding royal scepters in their hands. And before each one of them, when he is traveling in Raquia, royal servants are running with great glory and majesty, even as on earth princes are traveling in chariots with horsemen and great armies, and in glory and in greatness, with praise, song, and honor. We're going to pause here. If you came here for the reading of the Bible, there you have it. Reading of currently we are in the Apocrypha, which is Enoch 3. Couple of things. Now we get into the commentary, as we do every day. Couple of things. One, notice the numbers. 72 is a recurring number throughout all three of the books. 365 is a recurring number, 365 days of the year, 365 years that Enoch lived on earth, 365,000 parasangs, 365,000 this, 365 is a recurring number. Another recurring number is 49. So 72, 365, 49. You can look those up. How you loving, how you loving, how you loving. Hey, Barbados is in the house. How you loving, how you loving. Another thing is, did you notice that in there, they just quietly slipped in that they moved the moon? Now, we do know that the moon is very strange. Let's go to the part where they move the moon. Wait a minute. What did you say, Enoch? Or what did you say, Rabbi Ishmael? Y'all move the moon. Wait a minute. It's right up here. Where is the part where they moved the moon? I believe it was on this side of the page. We didn't get that far yet. So there was a line in here, and I marked it in my mind that says, ooh, wait a minute. You all move the moon, which here is why. Okay, I don't see it right now. We did read it. Here's why that's strange to me. Here's why that's strange to me. It's strange to me because the moon is strange. The moon has many anomalies, one of which that it doesn't rotate. The moon only shows us one side of itself as it goes around Earth. And that's interesting. Supposedly we're rotating. The moon is not. So we've never seen what's on this side of the moon. We've only seen one side of the moon ever. And then we have the strange anomalies from NASA when they crashed an object into the moon, it rang like a bell for an hour, almost like it was metal underneath the surface, or that it's hollow. And then they did it again with a bigger object. Why is NASA crashing objects into the surface of the moon? I guess this is part of scientific discovery. Crashed another object onto the surface of the moon, and the moon rang like a bell for 3 hours. So when you hit something, ding, that's like a singing bowl. That's strange. The other thing, there's a few anomalies about the moon. The other thing about the moon is that it's too large to be our moon, like a natural moon of our planet. It's too large. It's very large. It's like, I think 25% the size of planet Earth. And if you look at other planets and their moons are all much smaller. So why do we have this big, giant moon? Another thing is, how is it that the moon is perfectly placed so that we get eclipses? Like, the placement of the moon is exactly so that we get a full eclipse of the sun. And remote viewers have said two more things. One, remote viewers, which NASA uses to look at the other side of the moon, remote viewers, several of them, they use different ones, right? Describe buildings and structures on the far side of the moon independent of one another. That's interesting. Now, you wouldn't just take that one point of reference to prove anything. I don't know what it proves. We can't see it. Those who are trained in remote viewing, they've seen it. Yet when you take all of these together, it starts to build a strange picture. Okay, one more thing. Many ancient cultures have stories that the moon was pulled into place, or that they built the moon, almost like it's a ship, some kind of starship, not a natural object. Now, of course, NASA and all the scientific, here's the mainstream story. Let me give you the mainstream story. Oh no, it can all be explained. Oh, the moon is just a naturally occurring object. Oh, it's crazy to think that the moon is anything other than just a regular natural object. Yeah, the moon is just the moon. No need to be concerned, people. Everybody be calm. Just sit down and eat your dinner, and you'll be just fine. The moon is just fine. There's nothing strange about the moon. It's just wonderful. Look up, look how beautiful and bright and glowing it is in the sky. All is well. That's the mainstream narrative. The mainstream narrative is also that the Bible is from God. The mainstream narrative is also that the Egyptians built the pyramids, and they only date back about a few thousand years. Those things probably easily a couple 100,000 years. The mainstream narrative, which academia espouses, which most scientists espouse, which schools espouse, politics, the mainstream narrative is one narrative. That's one way of looking at things. And then there are many other ways of looking at things. And I like to look at things from many different perspectives. So I take into consideration the mainstream narrative. I don't depend on it. By no means do I believe it. Because there are too many strange, anomalous things about the moon. And the same thing they said about Three-Eye Atlas. Three-Eye Atlas was hella strange. Oh no, it's just a comet. It's just a comet. It's just a comet, but we're looking at it and it's not acting like a comet that we've ever seen before. This thing has an anti-tail. It has a tail pointing to the sun and a tail coming off. It was almost like it had a headlight. What? See, because they will try to gaslight you out of what you're seeing with your own eyes. They would try to gaslight you. NASA has pushed the Artemis 3 moon launch back to 2028. They claim multiple setbacks and they don't want to rush. Really? I thought you were told not to come back. Isn't that the truth? They told them not to come back, and everyone says at least all of the people who are independent researchers, they say if you find footage of those astronauts when they came back, they look terrified. They don't look like, yay, y'all just conquered the moon. They looked horrified. Something happened to them on the moon the last time they went. And why haven't we been back to the moon in all these years? It's been a long time since we've been back to the moon. And in addition to that, they say, and I've got to look this up. I don't know how true this is. I've got to look it up for myself. And y'all can look it up and let us know in the comments. They say all those astronauts who went to the moon that last time where they got some horrible experience and the sound went out for a period of time and they came back horrified and they were interviewing them and they looked horrified. They say all their lives went to shit after that. Like they all got divorced and they started drinking and something happened to those astronauts. Now I've got to go and look it up for myself. That's what word on the street is. I cannot corroborate that because I have not looked it up yet. Oh, trust me, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to get to the bottom of this moon situation. It is verse 17:5 where he talks about the angels moving the moon every night. Boom. Thank you. Let's go look at it. Thank you so much, Dia. Thank you, Dia. The Book of Enoch. Let's go on screen share. Thank you so much. Okay, 17:5. Let's go. Where am I? Okay. 16, 15, 17. 17:5. Ah. Okay, let's read it. Ooh. I think this is something. I think this means something. Under them is Ophaniel, the prince who is set over the globe, Ophari of the moon. And with him are 88 angels who move the globe of the moon, 354,000 parasangs every night at the time when the moon stands in the east at its turning point. And when is the moon sitting in the east at its turning point? Answer, in the 15th day of every month. Yeah, that's weird. They're moving the moon. Now, here's another part. Thank you so much, Dia. Thank you for helping us with that. Thank you. Appreciate you. Mwah, hugs. Can't wait to see you again. Here's another strange part of the puzzle. Many cultures around the world have stories about the moon being built or the moon being moved, moon stories. And here's one of them. In China, I heard this from a lady who was talking about this, and I believe her heritage is Chinese. She said in China, there's a story, like a very, very, very old story, like a story you would tell to children, about these two travelers who were walking in the mountains of China. And they came upon a very, very, very old man, super old. This guy was like ancient. And he had tools with him. He had a bag of tools. And they started talking to him like, who are you? What are you doing out here? And whatnot and so forth. And he said, and they got to talking about his tools. And he said, oh, yeah, these were the tools when we built the moon because I helped to build the moon. What? Now, that by itself, I don't know, maybe it's just a child's tale. That with all the other points of reference is y'all built the moon. Now, if you ask AI, of course it's going to tell you, oh, the moon is it's natural, and it's got point by point retorts. I call them retorts, not answers. Retorts from mainstream science as to why the moon is so anomalous. Why is it so big? Oh, it's so big because of this and this and this and this. Why is it only showing us one side? Oh, it's only showing us one side because of this and this and this and this. Well, what about remote viewers seeing what's on the other side of the moon? Oh, remote viewers, really? Are we going to believe them? Well, you hired them, NASA. Ixnay on the Erope May Ewersvay, right? Then we've got that the hollow ringing bell situation. What is that? Oh, it's because da 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 da. There's another one. There's another one. And you can look to Randall Carlson for this because Randall Carlson breaks this down. Randall Carlson, and he's not a conspiracy theorist. He's a scientist. He takes things very scientifically. He's very logical. He's very rooted in reality. He's not on the mainstream story. Yeah, he's not a knucklehead way off somewhere, right? He is rooted. Randall Carlson. Look him up. Let me put his name in the chat. Look him up. And he has an absolutely amazing podcast on YouTube called Squaring the Circle, if you get that reference. Randall Carlson said, because he's talking about why is the moon so strange? They are always gaslighting. Isn't that the truth? Love to gaslight. Supposedly for our own good, because we're too crazy, and the masses, we're too crazy that if you told us the truth, we would just lose it. Where we're going to find out the truth anyway, eventually. I mean, they might as well tell us the truth that they've been talking to aliens all along, or the Anunnaki all along, because eventually we're going to all see them anyway. I mean, it's just a matter of time. So they might as well just go ahead and let, not only release the Epstein files, release all the files. Because the people will find out eventually. Truth always comes out. Randall Carlson said that, you know, all those craters on the moon, right? The moon has all these craters from objects hitting it over who knows when they built the moon. Could have been millions of years ago, could have been billions of years ago. Who knows? Well, when they put it in place and set it into orbit, and it's got gravitational pull, right, from the Earth, and they use physics to put it in place. I don't see why we find this to be so strange, and here's why. Don't we do the same thing with satellites? What if the moon was just a satellite, just orbiting? Don't we do the same thing with satellites? I'm always amazed that we want to just poo-poo that any civilization before us could have done any of the things that we currently do. We do with that. Okay, anyway, that's a beside. That, to me, that's just logic. Well, the craters on the moon are strange. And here's why they're strange. They are all the same depth, but different widths. So let's say every crater on the moon goes like 1 mile deep, let's just say. And they're pretty shallow. They might not even be a whole Earth mile deep. Let's say half an Earth mile deep. They're pretty shallow. How is it that every crater on the Earth, on the moon, is the same depth? Now they're different widths because different things hitting the moon. That would only happen if there was a metal ball, sphere, underneath the surface of the moon. And when you hit that, it bounces off. That's the only explanation for that there is something under the surface of the moon that protects it, that doesn't allow any object, asteroids, comets, space debris, just flinging by, hitting the moon all the time. How is it that these objects are different sizes, coming from different trajectories at different speeds, hitting the moon, but every time you hit the moon, it makes the exact same impression depth? That means there's something there. There's something there. If every time you hit it, the depth is pretty much the same, but the width is different. There's something bigger hitting it and something smaller hitting it. Yeah, the depth is the same. When I saw that, I thought, wait a minute, that's... Now, if you just put 2 and 2 together, like Martin used to say, I put 36 and 79 together and came up with 108. Maybe that's the real answer. Let me do that again. I put 17 and 8 together. It came up with 143. Martin used to say stuff like that, right? What gives? I found that to be very strange. So we have another point of reference, a strange, seemingly short little line about them moving the moon that also aligns. They didn't say that they're moving all the planets. That also aligns with the story. There's a lot going on around the moon. Next thing I want to say in this commentary. So besides the numbers, the moon, here's the last thing I want to say in this commentary. This is all very royal language that is being used. Kings and thrones and princes and so forth and so on. Why? Because the Anunnaki were the ones who started kingship on earth. There was no such thing as the idea of kings, royal lineages, uh, royalty. These people rule over these people forever, and then their son comes and rules, and then their son comes and rules, and then their son rules. That never, a royal family, and the royal family is inbreeding like the Targaryens so they can keep the royal blood going. That did not exist until the Anunnaki came to this planet, and I'll prove it to you. Do you remember how we were talking about Michael Tellinger, Anunnaki, African temples of the Anunnaki, all throughout Southern Africa? In some places, Southern Africa is referred to as the Absu. In other places, deep waters are referred to as the Absu, or just depth or darkness. Well, Enki's domain was in Southern Africa. Gold mines all throughout Southern Africa. Gold, 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 gold. To this day. Well, if we consider that the Ijiji had an uprising and they needed this new race of beings to comply, to do their work for them, what did they take? What was already here? Now, what was already here were these beings that were walking around on 2 feet, ape kind of beings, an ape-like kind of being, yet with some intelligence, yet not with enough intelligence that you could tell it to go and mine in a mine for you and have them working for you every single day and have speech and conversations and give them instructions and they follow out the instructions and all those kinds of things. Not that level of intelligence, yet there was intelligence. Not, intelligence is on a scale, even among humans. Well, these beings that were walking around in Africa, let's say Homo naledi. Let's just say that it was Homo naledi. Because Homo naledi is throughout that part of Africa. And they found remains of Homo naledi. And they had some intelligence and they had some sense of awe or devotion because they buried their dead, and they buried their dead ceremonially with items from the person's lifetime. I watched a documentary about Homo naledi. It was amazing. Let's bring up a picture of what Homo naledi looks like, just so we have a visual. Okay, hold on. Let's go to Homo naledi. Okay, this is supposedly what Homo naledi looks like. A primate, supposedly. This is what Homo naledi looks like. It's an extinct. Watch the documentary. The documentary is so good. Okay, it's an extinct species of archaic human discovered in 2013 in the Rising Star Cave System, Gauteng Province, South Africa, part of the cradle of humankind, dating back to the Pleistocene, the Middle Pleistocene, 335,000 to 236,000 years ago. The initial discovery comprises 1,550 specimens of bone representing 737 different skeletal elements and at least 15 different individuals. Despite this exceptionally high number of specimens, their classification with other Homo species remains unclear. So I kind of think that this is our ancient ancestor. And when I say ancestor, I don't mean by evolution. That's not what I'm talking about. Homo naledi. I'm not talking about that. I am referring to this could be what, okay, this Homo naledi could be what the Anunnaki saw just in when they came here. Homo naledi in the absolute in Africa where all the gold, where they found all the gold. And unfortunately, there were also beings wandering around there too, which were primates in the primate family, which were advanced. They were a Homo species. They weren't simply just apes, right? Well, here's sort of some characteristics, physical skull characteristics of Homo naledi versus Homo habilis, the one who made the first, supposedly, they call him a Homo handyman because supposedly he made the first tools. Well, Homo naledi was very fascinating to me because as I looked at the documentary, where Homo naledi was found overlaps with, let's look at it on a map. It overlaps with where Michael Tellinger says the uh, lost mines of Inky are, the lost gold mines of Inky. Let's look. South Africa. Let's just get a map. Let's go to maps. South Africa. Okay. And we want a map. Maps. And let's look at South Africa on the map. Okay. So right in here, this Southern Africa, all of this is South Africa, right? This is where Homo naledi was found. And this is also where the lost gold mines of Inky are found. And they also have Zimbabwe, they also found structures in Zimbabwe, greater Zimbabwe. So that part lines up if you consider that these creatures, Homo naledi, was walking around on the planet about 300,000 years ago, would they have bumped into the Anunnaki? Now, no one told me this. No one told me that this is what happened. No one told me this. I didn't get this from anyone else. I didn't get this from YouTube. No one is saying this. This is a conclusion I came to in my mind of what was not even a conclusion. It's a theory that I have in my mind of how this whole thing might have played out 300,000, 200,000 years ago. And it overlaps on certain points. It overlaps the Great Leap Forward. How did Homo naledi become us? It overlaps where these activities took place. It overlaps archaeology where there are still these lost gold mines of Inky all throughout Southern Africa. They were just digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, mining for gold, mining for gold, mining for gold, mining for gold, mining for gold. And all this gold mining operation was going on while these creatures were walking around, but they weren't paying attention to the creatures, because they didn't care about all these earth creatures that were here, all kinds of earth beings. They didn't concern with those because they were in their operations of doing the gold mining. And when they had the uprising and the Ijiji now said, no, we're not mining for y'all anymore. We've been mining for I think about 3,000 years or something like that. We're not doing that anymore. We're tired. It's over. It was a big hullabaloo. They rebelled. They were going to overthrow the Anunnaki because there was far fewer Anunnaki than there were Ijiji. And the Ijiji were the working class. They call them the lesser gods or the worker bees or the peasants, I guess, of the Anunnaki world. We're going to make you work, 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 work. And they were tired. They were over it. And so they had this big rebellion. And when they had the rebellion, that's what prompted the Anunnaki to have a meeting in their sky council. And the sky council was some type of space station where was. Or Anu, did not come down to Earth. Anu was in the space station with his, um, um, I would say you could call it wife or queen or consort, whatever you like to call it. I don't know if they refer to them as wives in the way that we know the word wife today. Anyway, on in his consort, and we're in this space station, and they probably would sometimes jet back and forth to their planet or star system, wherever they were from. And and some people say Nibiru, but remember, Zechariah Sitchin, I don't know if he has any basis for saying, I don't know the basis for him saying that the planet was Nibiru. That's why I rarely say Nibiru. He said it was Nibiru, but I don't know if it was Nibiru for sure or not. I don't know what their planet was named. I don't know where they came from. Anyway, and I don't know if anyone knows with certainty where they came from. I think that part of it may have been a speculation. Anyway, it doesn't matter. When they came here, there and they had the uprising, and now they had to have their conversation in the council. This is all written down. This is all written down in the Sumerian cuneiform tablets. This is all written down. So we're not making any of this up. This was the actual conversation they had. They said, okay, we got this rebellion going on. What do we need to do? And Ninhursag and also Anu's wife, the queen, they agreed. They said, you have been working them too hard. It is too much. We're mining and mining and mining. It's crazy. Let them have off. And so Ninhursag and Enki are playing around with the idea, how can we get a new worker force? How can we get a new slave species, as the book titled Slave Species of the Gods? Pretty scary title for a book. That's pretty much what it was. And when they came up with in their huddle, it's like a 12-person council. They had a council, and it's spoken of in the Bible as well, the Sky Council. And in the Sky Council is when they would talk about important things and what they're going to do with the Earth project. The Earth was a project for them. And when they decided, okay, we're going to genetically engineer a being to work for us, that seems like the best solution. And pardon me, someone said, well, how are we going to do this? Do we need to start from scratch? Do we need to? And Enki said, and somehow the conversation came to, how about we do a mashup? Like take some of these beings, something that's already on the earth, and give it our DNA and give it intelligence, because these are extremely advanced scientists. Let's do a mashup. And Enki said, oh, I got the perfect solution because I've seen them running around. I think he was referring to Homo naledi. He saw these ape-like beings running around like they'll do, and they took them and they put them in cages. They went out and they captured many of them, and these beings were probably terrified. And they started to do their genetic mashup. And one of the stories says that they took one of the gods and sacrificed him, took his blood, mixed it with mud, and created humans, the Adam or the Adamu. Adam is not a name, it's a title. It's a specification for a human man. We just call him Adam like that's his name, but that is not a name. It's a title. Well, when they made the first mashups, they went terribly wrong. These are all in the stories they wrote down because they kept precise records. Oh, this one cannot be medical records. They kept precise medical records like we do today. And none of this is strange to me. None of it is strange to me. It makes perfect sense. And they kept going and kept going. And finally, through their DNA and the DNA of Homo naledi, that's my contention, my assertion. I don't have proof of that. I'm sharing with you the facts of the case as I see them and how I could see that overlap. I do not have conclusive proof or evidence that it was actually Homo naledi, right? I'm working with a thesis here. It's my working hypothesis. And when they did the mashup of these beings and the Anunnaki and the Ijiji, because they say that the one who led the uprising was the one that they killed to make him the mashup. And they took some of the Anunnaki. We could be a three-way mashup of Anunnaki, Ijiji, and primate. And so that's why we're so close in genes and DNA to the primate family. Yet we're also very interested in the stars. We're all made of stardust. And we're cosmically inclined, and we love astrology, astronomy, and we love the stars, and we love the planets because we're cosmic beings. So not only are we earth beings, we're also cosmic beings. And so, therefore, when you put all of this together, it makes for a very interesting picture. And when the Anunnaki came, this was my original point that I started with. Homo naledi, these groups of primates, did not govern themselves by way of kingship. It was a different form of governance. In the primate world, we know how it works with the great apes. When you go into a community and it's this, let's say it's the silverback great ape, we know the pecking order. The great ape is the boss. He has the pick of the women. There's an order here. It's not just willy-nilly, everybody do whatever you want to do. No, 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 no. The natural world has order. Okay, let's go to the lion pride. The lion pride does not rule themselves according to, there's governance. Trust me, there's governance. I've seen a lion pride with my own two peepers when I went to beautiful, beautiful, beautiful I don't want to say Sahara. It wasn't the Sahara Desert. It was Masamada in Kenya, where I went on safari and saw go early in the morning on safari, and you see the lion pride. The lions have a pecking order. And how do they do it? The lions fight it out. And then this is the head of this lion pride, and all the lions know it. Like the lions are, they go around peeing and marking their territory, and this lioness is with this lion, and these lionesses over here, and these are the cubs. There's a whole order. It is very sophisticated. Okay, let's go to the wolves, the wolf pack. The wolves don't govern themselves according to, I'm the alpha, and then when my son is born, he's going to be the alpha. And then when his son is born, he's going to be the alpha. That was a very foreign concept, and it's been one of the most horrific concepts ever created. And we still have it over in the UK, where people are still having babies, and in king, prince, and this king, and then the next one that's going to be a king is his daughter and his son. And then when are they going to stop doing all that? I know it doesn't mean a whole lot now in the UK. That all came from the Anunnaki, because if you look at all of the ways that nature has different groups of beings, they all comport themselves according to an order. And the order is not, I'm the king. And when my son is born, he's going to be the king. He's a prince. That didn't exist on planet Earth. It didn't exist. Let's go to some of the Aboriginal people on the planet. If you go to a Native American, let's say, if you were living, let's say you were in a village in Africa somewhere. I'm talking about years later. And let's say that in the village in Africa, there were these elders, there's, people that like families having children, there's children, babies, and whatnot. I've been to an African village, literally sat there with the African village. And guess who's in charge? The older ones, not the king. They don't have a king. Yes, there are certain places in Africa where there are kings. I'm not talking about the parts where there are kings, because they're not kings everywhere. I'm talking about if you went into a village, and let's say in this village was living 50, 60 people. Let's say when we went to I'll give you the perfect example. When I went to I guess you could call it a village. It was wide open, and the Maasai is a Maasai village. The Maasai move, so because they're nomads, I guess they take their village with them. The Maasai have a pecking order. It was the chief, and everyone has to ask the chief for things, and the chief also held the money for the whole village, for the whole tribe. The chief, not a king. He was an old man. How he earned the ability to be a chief, I don't know. I do know this. He had to kill a lion at some point. Because according to this particular Maasai tribe that I was with, it could be different with different Maasai tribes. And when I go to Tanzania, I'm going to find out because in Tanzania you see the in Zanzibar you see the Maasai walking on the beach, so you know I'm going to find out about them. Well, these Maasai that I was talking to, and you know I had so many questions for Wilson. Well, Wilson, what about so and so, and what about such and such? Because I am like an anthropologist, I'm a geologist, I'm all these things, right? I'm super curious. Well, Wilson told us that his father was the chief, and Wilson had a hat on his head, and the hat was made from the mane of the lion that he had to kill to become a man. That is the rite of passage in that particular village. There's no king, there's no queen, there's no idea of, okay, you and this woman's going to get together, you're going to have a royal child, and the royal child is going to rule in your place, and then that child is going to rule, and then so you're in first in line for the king, and then the prince, and then the second prince, and then the third prince. That did not exist on planet Earth until the Anunnaki came here. They bought that here. So when you read the Bible's very much on kings and kings and kings and queens and kings and kings and lineage, and the Bible is so big on that. The first part of the Bible, the Hebrew Bible. And here you see it in Enoch as well. So I said that to say this is the commentary. So let me put a pretty bow on this before we wrap up. The first thing I wanted to say in the commentary is the numbers. Notice the recurring numbers 72, 49, 365. The second thing I wanted to say about it is moving the moon. The third, the moon and all of the oddities and anomalies of the moon. The third thing I want to talk about, what I wanted to talk about in this commentary, is the very kings, like all these angels are princes, and this king and this prince, and they sit on thrones, and this one is ministering to the prince, and then this one is ministering to the king, and then the throne, and so on and so on. It's very kingly. It's very much set up like the Anunnaki. I do have one more thing I want to say. How did Metatron get the whole flaming body, the crown, the royal robe, the lights on the robe, the splendor of Metatron, hair turned into fire. God did all this to Metatron because the Lord just loves Metatron so much more than all the beings. So he made Metatron the top honcho. And now all of these other beings have to bow down to Metatron. And when they saw the greatness of Metatron, they were just amazed and aghast. And one nut from Earth, it's always got to be a human doing something crazy. One nut named Atcher sees Metatron, calls him a second divinity. Oh, there's two powers. There's two great powers in heaven. No, there's one. He falls down dead of the awe, and then God sends his angel to give Metatron 60 lashes with a fire rope. Wait a minute. God. See, the God of these stories is always crazy as hell. God, you were the one that did all this to Metatron. You made him this. Oh, you transformed him into fire with eyes like lightning beams, laser beams, and all of this. You did that. And you didn't think that if there was a human that came along and said, wow, It's two great powers in heaven. How did you think that that would not happen? That somebody else would say to him, "You made him too good, God, because you made him so spectacular that the people were all bowing down, even the angels and all the legions of angels, they were all bowing down and quaking in fear, and they were affrighted when they looked at him." So we would have to know that at some point, someone would come along and say, "Oh, there's two great powers in heaven, God," and they even called him the lesser Yahweh, Metatron. It's God and Metatron. No, yeah. And God sends an angel to give Metatron 60 fire lashes for being so fabulous. But you made me fabulous. There's a story here. What's the underlying current? The underlying current is that they're trying to tell you. Here's what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you never, no matter how great and awe inspiring a being is, never give that being the place of God. It's God, it's God, it's God, it's God, it's God. Never let that being be in your mind any kind of divinity. It's one God, it's one God, it's one God. That's what they want to show you. That I think that's the moral of the story. I think that's the moral of the story that Rabbi Ishmael is getting across to us, that there's only one God, and that even if you so much as even come along and act like there's another divinity that even approaches the Holy One, blessed be He, no, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. Because just as fast as he took you up, he will slash you down with 60 fire lashes, and you're going to be in trouble. Okay, there's one last thing I want to say. I want to end with this. I want to end with the Shema. The Shema. I love the Shema. The Shema. I learned the Shema from a Hebrew friend who was traveling from Israel back and forth. You might say to yourself, this lady is an international lady. I am actually seeking to be beyond an international lady. I would like to be a galactic lady because I would like to travel our galaxy as well. So if that happens during my lifetime, I'm absolutely going to be signing up for that after they do the first few test runs. I'm not the first one. I'm going to let a few test runs and a few regular shipments go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When I feel reasonably confident that they can just shuttle us over to Mars in like 3-4 years and shuttle us back, I'll take a decade and go to Mars. No problem. Go to decade, 3 to 4 years to get there. We got to wait until, time to launch so that it's when it's closest, Mars is closest to Earth. Take us 2 to 3 years to get there. I could hang out on a nice spaceship for 2 to 3 years. We have Wi-Fi. It'll bounce off the satellite. I can still go live on YouTube. Hey, and I'll be up there on this space station or the spaceship, whatever we're in. And you're hanging. I'm sure it's going to be like a city. Go to different restaurants every night. I'm thinking it's going to be like Star Trek. Baby, beam me up. Come on, Scotty. Let's get this. Let's get this. I wish the Anunnaki would just come on and show themselves so we could just start zipping around in their spaceships. Let's do it. I'm ready. Okay. Anyway, the Shema. So this beautiful being was traveling from Israel, back and forth from Israel to Intervisions every month for uh, our classes. And she was in a different class from me. And when I found out that she was Israeli and that she spoke Hebrew, I was like, oh, so tell me about so and so. So tell me about such and such, right? I would ask her all these different questions. And then she told me one day about the Shema. And I was like, oh, that prayer that's in the Bible. Yes, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And here is the Shema. She taught it to me. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord. It took me a minute to learn it. She said, you have to practice, practice, practice. I was like, okay, Shema, Shema, Shema. And she said it with all the inflection. I didn't get all the inflection, and all the in it. So pardon me for anyone who speaks Hebrew if I do not have all the in it like I need to. I love the prayer, and it is so true. It lands on me. It's very true because there is one power in this world. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord your God is one. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, 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 Adonai Echad. Okay, so let's show you where the Shema is in the book of Enoch. I was like, oh wow, there's the Shema. I love that. He said it a couple of times in here. Oh, I went too far. I went too far. We're not. Okay. Okay. Let's see. You know what I'll do? I will look it up, and tomorrow we will start with the Shema. I will look for it for you in here, and you all look for it too, and tell me where it is because he said it a couple of times in here. You could see the Shema um, a couple of times in here, and I will show you. Okay, I'm gonna look for it, and I will find it for you. I will also show you the Shema. Let's go to Google and let us bring up the Shema. Schema, I think it's called Shema. Hear, O Israel. Okay, I spelled it wrong. Hear, O Israel. There it is. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God. The Lord is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. There it is. I put a C in it. It's supposed to be just Shema. Is a central declaration of monotheism found in Deuteronomy 6:4. Now, the way that they were using it, their intention in using it, is that the Shema is, okay, meaning of one, ihad, can symbolize, okay, ihad. Okay, anyway, that is the prayer. Let's see it and see if we can find it in Hebrew. Let me put it in here. In Hebrew. There we go. Here it is. There you have it. Shema Israel. Say it with me. Shema Israel. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Okay? That is the Shema. And you learned the Shema today. The prayer is traditionally recited twice daily in the morning and evening. I think it's beautiful. And I was so happy that she taught me the Shema. I love, love, love the Shema. And here was the intention with the people who was writing the Shema. They wanted to get rid of all the other gods and say, well, there's only one God, our God. That was their intention when they wrote it. My intention in using it is different. My intention is that there is one power, one force, one love, one source in this entire universe. And so that's what I'm experiencing when I say the prayer. Now, what you experience when you say the prayer will be completely up to you if you choose to use the prayer at all. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.